I'm here with Rob Farrow, an experienced income tax specialist and public accountant with over 30 years of experience. Since the 1990s, he's worked extensively with small, innovative technology companies in both Canada and the US. You launched a new online journal called the Main Street Journal about a year ago. So, what is it? And why do you think Canadians need another online business magazine?
A year or so earlier, I founded the Small Business Analysts Society of Canada with the fairly modest goal of providing more relevant vocational training for accounting technicians in Canada. The Main Street Journal started as a kind of blog for my accounting practice and for SBA Canada. The term Main Street Journal was a bit of a play on the notion of journal entries, which are a key tool used by public accountants like me when compiling financials and filing tax returns for our clients. And it was Main Street, as opposed to Wall Street, because we were focused on small businesses.
So, are you saying that the Main Street Journal was focused on helping these small businesses succeed and grow?
Not really. Too many of our so-called experts can tell us why high-growth companies succeed. Our governments aren't afraid to spend millions of our money on their evidence-based solutions to encourage economic growth. But it's much easier to explain why Shopify or QuickBooks succeeded than to predict who will succeed. Policymakers, consultants, and business schools may sound pretty convincing, but they aren't any good at it. Talented investors and venture capitalists know how to pick winners and losers. They have to, because they invest their own money. And they don't live in Canada. Canadian investors like to invest in our natural resources, regulated industries, and the usual suspects controlled by well-connected families. The returns are good, and the risks are lower. At the Main Street Journal, our goal is to simply describe the economic landscape as we see it. Small Canadian businesses need to understand the market before they develop products and services to meet market needs. That's what venture capitalists call product market fit. We just want to help them survive long enough to get the fit right. Taken together, our smallest businesses, those with less than 10 employees, make up about 92% of all businesses, and they account for about a third of private sector employment. That's more than all of Canada's large and medium-sized businesses combined. But small business doesn't get any respect. Government agencies and incubators would like to create the impression that they can help homegrown businesses grow and thrive. But that's a pretty hard nut to crack, and no one has really figured out how to do it. The business lobby and our largest professional accounting and law firms would like us to believe that they have the answers. A 2022 study by the Canadian Federation of Independent Business found that taxes and regulatory costs in Canada are actually much lower than they are in the United States. But the cost of professional services for our smallest businesses is more than twice the cost in the US.
Everything that I hear suggests that Canada's tax regime is much more punitive than the Americans. Are you saying that the Americans are less tax competitive than Canadians?
Like most Canadian accountants, I used to listen to the business lobby. These are the folks that represent the interests of our largest and most influential businesses. I just assumed that Canada was a laggard when it came to tax competitiveness. But a 2023 study by the US-based Tax Foundation suggests that just isn't true. According to their study, Canada actually leads the G7 in terms of tax competitiveness. And the Tax Foundation isn't some left-leaning think tank. They're most likely pointing to Canada and trying to get US policymakers to increase their own tax competitiveness.
So, in this environment, how do our smallest businesses grow and thrive?
Mostly they don't. Our business professionals, think lawyers and accountants, are undoubtedly behind the high costs of professional services for our smallest businesses. The professional and technical services industry is one of Canada's largest and fastest growing sectors. Although we rely on them to assist our smallest businesses with crucial tax and legal advice, in our view, they're hiding behind their monopolies and seem to be becoming less efficient, despite massive improvements in information technology. I'm reminded of the words of Adam Smith, author of The Wealth of Nations, and often considered the father of modern economics.
People of the same trade seldom meet together, even for merriment and diversion, but the conversation ends in a conspiracy against the public or in some contrivance to raise prices.